this secret laboratory deep down in the bowels of the earth, this man carries out his fiendish research.
Is it safe?
Clear.
But I'm gonna torture you anyway.
Hey, no, that didn't hurt, did it?
You can't let a man die so that you can discover something.
Doctor, he's gone.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
Ah, back in my office, I see. It's amazing how I have to keep reviewing these movies from the past. Almost like I'm only scraping at the surface level problems with these things and not dealing with more of the underlying issue. If I didn't know any better, I'd swear I was just treating the symptoms and not the disease. Let's look at today's client.
1,
We get a helicopter here.
2,
Takes us to a jet.
3.
I'm flying to the tropics. We did it.
Al Pacino. Dog Day Afternoon. A true story.
3 cheers for 1970s in cinema. We got so many classics that it's impossible to count. Oh, wait. All those movies were from the 20s. Well, except that last one. That would just be in poor taste. And while it might be the most revolutionary decade in film, at least in an American sense, it is not without its missteps. Like making a star out of Warren Beatty. I get it, you want to this out of his because he's so hot, but great, my ass. Now, the easy thing to do would be to just look at this film through a modern lens, use my triggered libtard snowflake style, and not give it its proper context, being that this film is over 50 years old. Well, or damn close. So I'm actually going to try to take a look at this film from the point of view of the 70s and see if they did justice to the subject matter from that point of view. Because after all, I'm a doctor. You know, the grand old decade of the 70s. The kind of time where it was easier to be a serial killer than get a tank of gas. If you could walk through New York City without getting stabbed, it was a good day. And I don't know, there was Donna Summer or some shit. Let's take a look at what the issue is here. Dog Day Afternoon is about Sonny and Sal, the worst Simon and Garfunkel knockoff ever, robbing a bank for reasons we don't know about at first. This brings on the fuzz, and things only go even more haywire from there. What brought this on? What were they there for? Why were they robbing the bank?
Leon! Happy birthday!
Oh, so it's a very fragile man on the edge of a nervous breakdown, wearing a bathrobe, passing out at the sight of what his boyfriend has done. Oh boy. So now that you have the setup, how about a little bit of history for context?
In search of history.
One of the strangest hijack attempts to date began yesterday when 2 gunmen held up a bank in Brooklyn, New York. The gunmen got $29,000, but before they could leave, police moved in and the bank robbers seized 8 hostages.
The movie is based on a true story, and unlike the Conjuring universe, it isn't a bunch of propagandic fabricated nonsense to cover up 2 flim-flam child molesters. It is believed that, with a couple of liberties taken, which is to be expected from any Hollywood movie, that this is actually pretty honest to the events of the actual day. Here's the actual bank, looking as basic bitch as you can get.
You basic.
Good thing it was a robbery in Brooklyn and not the Bronx, or they may have had to face off against this guy.
Yeah.
You are our garbage.
Who's this?
I don't know what you're thinking. You can spend the rest of your life beating up people and robbing them. You got the guns? Drop the gun.
Who is it? Cops.
Things are pretty accurate in terms of them missing a money deposit by a few hours, having the popo called on them, and dealing with a gaggle of women. Or is it a school of women? Or a flock of women? Oh, a murder of women. A murder of women hostages. I think that's right. So the belief was that Sonny and his friend John were looking for as much money as possible so they could pay for a sex change operation for Eden/Leon, Sonny's love.
It opens in 9 weeks in Tulsa.
Now, Eden was born a man, and you're probably asking yourself, how in the blue hell in a world where Dickie Nix was still president, we still hadn't met John Travolta, and gas was only like 40 cents a gallon? Wait, what? Anyways, that a man in any kind of legal sense in 1975 could marry another man. Well, Eden had threatened suicide if Father I'll put his name on the screen, hadn't done the wedding ceremony for them. When it was found out what he did, he was unfortunately defrocked. So now that we have a little bit of background, let's see how this film portrays Sonny and Leon's relationship and how they deal with somebody in the transgender community.
Why did you want to get married, Leon?
I thought it would help me. But it didn't.
Well, according to Sonny, this was actually fairly accurate to the real Leon, and a hell of a lot better than I thought we were going to get in 1975. But you can't help but feel, or at least make the argument, that this film is not bringing this to light for positive reasons, but instead because it makes a juicy, salacious hook to what would otherwise have been just a normal bank robbing tale. Now, I do believe that somebody could make the argument, and it does have legs, that they are portraying these people as circus sideshows for the predominantly cisgender audience.
I can't talk to him.
Is there a reason that he kind of sounds like Linda Richman?
Now I'm overclamped. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
You cut off the incoming calls. Can I have a line? I want to talk to my wife. I want to talk to my kids.
What? But how could this be? He's a man married to a woman. How could that possibly make any sense? I mean, how could he possibly have any other kind of sexual identity? Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. Allegedly. So the film in its time is dealing with scandalous, outrageous subject material that now in today's world would just be called living. So, are they using this subject matter as shock value, or are they actually trying to say something about how this affects the people involved's lives? And if it does unfortunately fall into the realm of circus sideshow, how is that any different than, say, The Bearded Woman or The World's Fattest Man or Cher? I do, however, feel that this film is not trying to use this as shock value. The movie doesn't linger on this, so it does seem to point out the fact that they are just pointing out the actual events and the actual people involved on account of the fact that this is a true story. I don't think that they were trying to be exploitative. If you just portrayed this as a normal bank heist movie, I'm sure any producer in Hollywood would say, what's the hook? And the hook is... Yes. No, not literal hook. The hook is...
The world is shocked by a person who changed his sex. Thus, the strange case of Glenn, who was Glenda, one and the same person.
No, I'm not being that cavalier either. But actually about a possibly emotionally and physically abused person who is suicidal, who wants to have a sex change to match on the outside how they feel on the inside, even though his church denies it and his society denies it as well. All this with a manic boyfriend who will stop at nothing to make this happen.
Well, so right away, Sonny wanted to get me money for the sex change operation, but where was he going to get it? $2,500?
So Sonny wanted to desperately get $2,500 so Leon could get a sex change? Wait, $2,500? Hell, I can't even get my car inspected for under $2,500. And this is like 47 years later. How the hell did a surgery only cost that much?
So I tried to kill myself.
Now, this is actually pretty accurate to history. And there's no joke here. If you are suicidal, please call the number on the screen right now. We love you. Thank you for watching, and please reach out to anyone for help. It sometimes can be the toughest and bravest thing you can do, but your life matters. You matter. Please let someone help you.
Just talk to him.
No,
right? Come on, now.
I can't talk.
It's just, how's it going to hurt you on the phone? All you're going to be is on the phone.
Yeah, asshole. Do my job for me. We already pulled you in distress in your nightgown down here without a clear understanding of what was going on. Come on, help us out a bit here. You ain't paid by the hour. The media picks up the story and immediately focuses on the sexuality and gender identity of these individuals instead of focusing on the actual bank robbery. Using people's personal lives as leverage for ratings, what would these people's sexual identities and gender backgrounds have to do with anything? Why would that matter?
Don't matter.
Well put, Al. Well put. Do you have any other explosive messages you want to get across?
Say hello to my little friend.
It's interesting to think how this movie is remembered for the transgender reveal. It's kind of like the movie's big M. Night Shyamalan twist, but unlike the actual M. Night Shyamalan, it's not complete, poopies. But the funny thing is, the whole transgender aspect of this thing is only one part of the bigger overall picture of this narrative. It speaks to the shock value of an entire generation brought up to believe that anybody that is different from them is dangerous and should not be trusted.
What Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick. A sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious, a sickness of the mind. You see, Ralph was a homosexual.
It's important for me to take a look at this film and say that while they didn't get everything correct and they could have been more sensitive and thoughtful, this film is not trying to portray these people as clowns. That in reality, it's just telling a story about human beings living human lives. Both Al Pacino and director Sidney Lumet were actually terrified that they might accidentally portray these people as over-the-top caricatures, something they absolutely did not want to do, because they wanted to give you an honest portrayal of human beings and not just stereotypes and jokes. The funny thing is, this movie couldn't even get made today, and not for the whole, we can't make Blazing Saddles anymore, but the fact of the Leon revelation at the end of the second act would not be shocking at all today, and that's a good thing. It's just life. Now, as always, as you can see and as I pointed out oftentimes, I am, and as a heterosexual man who's never had to experience any of these situations in life, I might be missing the greater overall point. So if you do have a perspective on this, please let me know if I am wrong. Although, then again, I am a doctor from a 2-year online degree that cost me $800, so you might not want to challenge me too much, buckaroo. Bring it on, punk.